Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. It's just you and me today, and this won't be a long video, but I did want to come on and say hi. Uh, there are just a couple of things I want to look at, I think, today. And I also wanted to remind us that this is the long game. I have a lot of people in my comments or who will write me emails and talk about how discouraged they are, how over it they are, how sad they are. All of us feel all of that to one degree or another, but this is the long game. So pace yourselves. Pace yourselves in terms of your intake of news. Make sure that the sources that you go to are credible. And remember that this is just one aspect of our lives, right? Please try to find the joy uh, in your relationships, in the food that you eat, in the exercise that you do, in the sleep that you engage in. Uh, this is the long game. I I can't tell you how often I think of my ancestors who lived their entire lives um, hoping to find a way out of no way. And when it looked like there was going to be no way out, they still did what they did for the sake of those who would come after them. So, this is not going to be quick, fast, and in a hurry. I don't know who told anybody that it would be. And we may take 10 steps backwards before we move forwards again. But this is necessary. This is a necessary undoing. Otherwise, what are we doing? We'll just put a Band-Aid on something and then, not paying any attention to the fact that it's bubbling and festering and oozing and gangrenous. Um, and then wonder why our arm falls off. We need this kind of real self-examination that goes down to the bone. Does it tickle? It does not. Does it feel good? It does not. Is it necessary? Yes, it is. Please do not go back to sleep. Stay woke. Okay. So first off, I don't want to forget that, if I had awards to give out, I don't have any awards to give out because I could give out my crystal ball, which I love. But if I had an award to give out, I would give it to two people this week. Why is my light getting dark? I feel like it's getting dark all of a sudden. It could be outside. I don't know if it's my ring light. I don't know. Uh, anyway, if it's getting dark, sorry. Anyway, the two people who I would give the People's Choice Award to, one I've mentioned before, um, Queen Maxima of the Netherlands. I mean, what a boss. If you have not yet seen that video of her mimicking you know who. It was just priceless. Nor do I think she could help herself. I think it was just like an instinct, a reflex, but it was a flex indeed, and she deserves the People's Choice Award. The other person who deserves the People's Choice Award is uh, for a more sober reason, is Elizabeth McDonough. We should all know her name, Elizabeth McDonough. She is the Senate parliamentarian. She is the first woman to hold that position, and she herself is also a boss. So, as you know, the big budget bill, that's what we'll call it, the big budget bill, is being debated even as we speak in the Senate. And they had thrown some things in there to entice um, Republicans who were having cold feet about supporting it. And so one of the people whom they wanted to entice to their side is Lisa Murkowski. She's the senator from Alaska. And so they put some stuff in there for her, and then they threw in Hawaii. So it's, the non-contiguous states. So this was going to help the two of those two states in regard to Medicare and Medicaid. And that was supposed to get her on board. And it almost did get her on board until the parliamentarian said, wait a minute, you can't do that. The parliamentarian's job is to say what can go in a bill and what can't. Like there's certain things that you can certainly put in a bill, but not the budget bill because it doesn't speak specifically to the budget. So she has had an eagle eye um, uh, perspective in combing through that bill and doing an amazing job of throwing out stuff that doesn't belong there. Now, can she get rid of everything that doesn't belong there? Because God knows there's a lot that doesn't belong there. No. But she has done, in my opinion, yeoman's work. And she, together with Queen Maxima, are my choices for this week's People's Choice Award. I think the two of them are champions. So, speaking of, I only want to look at two things today. Let's look at this big budget bill. Now, we know, as I mentioned last time, that 47 would like the bill on his desk July 4th, so he can, underneath a big flag, of course, I'm sure, take his oversized Sharpie and then sign his name in that weird signature that he's got on the 4th of July. I have said too, he doesn't really care what's in the bill. You know good and well he hasn't read it. He does because he can't read. Entertainment purposes only. He doesn't care what's in the bill. He just wants to sign a budget bill. But it's left now to the Senate and the parliamentarian of the Senate to go through it. And so now they're debating it. The Democrats have sort of slowed the clock down, which is great because the 4th of July is just around the corner. But the Democrats slowed the clock down by insisting that the bill had to be read aloud. And that took some time. So that's already happened. And now they are moving on to the debate portion of the program. I have said before, and I read with my partner the other night and saw the same thing, but I'm going to look again and see what we get. I have said that something would be passed, that it will not be as big or in in the Senate estimation as beautiful as it originally was. It will be pared down so as to make it palatable enough for sufficient Republicans to support it. Um, and the thing that they pass will not be wonderful for us. But what I'd like to know is I mean, I'm being petty, but I mean, something will be passed, but I'm being petty because I want to know, will he have it to sign on the 4th? Because the second issue that I want to look at today is the 4th of July. That's another day of resistance. So, but first, let's look at this bill. So I'm going to use the letter for the bill, and I just want to know, will he have a bill to sign July 4th? Again, I've looked at this before, but as I always tell you, energy is mutable, which means things can change, and things did change in a positive way, thanks to the Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough. But they could change again, right? Let's see. Uh, will this bill be signed by him? Will it have been voted on by the Senate, gone back to the House, because it has to go back to the House since it's changed, for their approval, and then be on his desk and ready for a signature July 4th? Okay, so we're going to use the letter as our focus card. Okay, this stands for the big budget bill. So we have the stork, the woman, the letter, which stands for the bill, the whip, and the sun. So, first off, I want to say that thanks to Elizabeth McDonough, the bill is a little better than what it started out as being. They've just, in the sense that they've taken some things out that they had thrown in there. So thank you again, Elizabeth McDonough, for fighting the good fight. Speaking of fighting the good fight, we have the letter in the middle that stands for the bill. The fighting has been intense. This is the card for arguing, for fighting about it, and heated, really heated arguments over this bill. There are, for example, I'll give you an example. The two senators from North Carolina, is that right? I don't want to mess this up. Hold on. Uh, hmm, okay, no. So we have Lindsey Graham, who is the senator from South Carolina, and we have, yeah, Tom Tillis, the senator from North Carolina. Both of those senators are Republicans. And yet they are on opposing sides in terms of this bill. Lindsey Graham, you know how he is, suck up, entertainment purposes only, to the president, is all for the bill. Tom Tillis from North Carolina said, the Medicaid proposals here are not going to work for my state. That's not gonna fly. So, they don't necessarily have every Republican on board. Um, the Republicans who vote against it, if there are any in the end, run the risk of being primaried, being vilified by 47 on his social media platforms, but they would be doing the work that their constituents sent them there to do. So good for Tom Tillis. Let's see if he stays the course. Uh, Murkowski uh, is now for the bill, but will she be for the bill once now the parliamentarian has said, yeah, that stuff can't be in there? I mean, which will she still be a supporter of this bill? So I pulled cards on the letter, the whip, and the sun. So this is the bill itself, the lily, the key, and the heart. I wish that I could say that these cards are good for us, but I don't think so. I think it's all about people wanting to placate the villain in chief, wanting to make him happy, kind of like giving him his parade, giving him something to sign on the 4th, sort of just placating him, the lily, calm, peace, etc. Um, the key to keeping him loving them is passing this bill. That's the Republican stance. But again, there have been a lot of arguments, and it's not just, as I just said, it's not just Democrats versus Republicans fighting about this bill. There are Republican senators that say, hey, wait a minute. I'm all for pork and money in my pocket, but how am I going to go home to my constituents when SNAP and Medicaid, on which a lot of them depend, have been gutted? That's not a good look for me. So there's a lot of arguments and a lot of, again, that's that wheeling and dealing. That's why Lisa Murkowski got what she got until she didn't get it. Thank you one more time, Elizabeth McDonough. But anyway, the clarifiers for this fighting are clouds, cross, and clover. So, yeah, the bill was read on the Senate floor, but there's still a lot of confusion. Everybody does not know really what's in the bill. It's one thing to hear the line being read, but have they actually do they really understand the significance of this? So this is confusion. This is a card for pain. But then we have the line ending in clover. They will want something passed quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that means by July 4th, because the baby in chief wants to sign something. He wants to color something in with his black Sharpie marker. So I think that as painful as it will be, they will rush something through. And then we have the sun. They say this is the best card in the deck, but I always like to remind you all that the sun can be hot and it can burn. And so here we have the sun, and the clarifiers for that are the ring, the bouquet, and the child. So I'm going to say that, again, these cards all bode well for the demon in chief. Uh, you know, the Republicans are committed to him. He owns them. So they will give him this 4th of July gift, except it will have been whittled down considerably. It's still a bad bill. But thanks to Elizabeth McDonough and thanks to some Republicans who will hold the line and say, no, this is not good for my state, as well as Democrats who hold the line, it won't be as big and bad and beautiful a bill as he says it will be. It'll be a smaller bill, fewer things in it. Um, a lot of still confusing things about how you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul, uh, as you do this sort of backwards Robin Hood thing. But it'll be a smaller bill, which I can mirror it with the first card, which is better than it started out to be. Sometimes you have to look for, victory where you can find it. So it's not as horrible a bill as it started out to be. And in this case, that may be the best that we can hope for in this moment. So I think he will have something to sign on the 4th of July. Um, it will be a gutted version of what the House originally wanted, but they will hurry up and, being under the gun. And again, with a lot of confusion still happening about this bill, they will quick, fast, and in a hurry get something to his desk for the 4th of July. What are you going to do? Sorry about that. All right, speaking of, let's look at the 4th of July. So I'm just, this is how I shuffle my cards. I just put them, back in, and then I kind of go like that, and then I put the rest of them back in. So I want to look at the 4th. I mean, which is feeling like quite an ironic holiday for a lot of us watching this channel. Uh, okay, so I want to know, how will the 4th go? And I think what I'm going to do is use the garden, because the garden speaks to events that happen, and it's not just that it's the 4th of July. As I said, it's another one of those you know 50 protests in 50 states for one cause. So it's another day of protest. The second one in the month will be on the 17th. I'll look at that later on, but let's look at the 4th, because um you know we hope that it will be peaceful. We hope that it will be, that the protests will be heavily attended. We hope that the National Guard and ICE get the day off. But, who knows? Let me see it. I want to look at it's a Friday, so that's interesting. It's a work day. Um, but it's the 4th of July, so it's not really a work day, right? Uh, so let's just see what we get. Will people come out? Will the protests be as widespread as they have been or more? I know that there's also a move, in case you're interested, to boycott Amazon for the month of July, so bear that in mind. Somebody asked me to look at, speaking of Amazon, uh, Bezos's wedding, and I did not look at it because why? For what? It was an over-the-top, obscene display of wealth and power. I had a viewer who said that they were very upset to see Oprah and her friend Gail there. I mean, listen, they're rich. Um, all skin folk and kinfolk. Free trip to Venice, accommodation, great food, lots of booze, whatever the other entertainment was. They're not going to pass that up. So, let us look to ourselves to be our own role models and heroes. We don't need Oprah, giving us a car key under our seat in the audience. Those days are over. We've got to be our own heroes. So we're going to use the garden and it's going to stand for the events of the 4th of July, and we'd like to know how that day will go. Deep in the deck. Did I pass it? No. Okay. This stands for the 4th of July. And I am going to pull some clarifiers. Okay. So we have the mice, we have the crossroads, we have the 4th of July events, we have the whip again, and we have the moon. So let me say this about that. I think 47 is really worried and anxious about what the 4th will be like. He's going to sign his, big ugly bill that day, and we're not going to watch the signing because, uh, and he's worried about, again, moving forward, his reputation among people. He knows people don't like him, but I don't think he quite gets the extent of it because in some ways, he's kind of shielded from that by his own narcissism and by the sycophants around him. But he's going to be anxious and worried about how the 4th is going to go. So we have the mice. Then the next card is Crossroads. I think things could go either way on the 4th. I don't think it will be the day of celebration that it has been in years past for Myriad reasons for myriad people. Center card is the guard, and that's the day. And again, I think there will be people who are at odds with each other. This is the card for arguments. That's true. Um, and who are they arguing about? Well, him and the country. Who are we? The jury is out, and I've said this before, and I've said this in my Substack. The jury is out on what the American people as a whole want the direction of the country to be. We are arguing about that direction. Do we want to be this or do we want to be that? There's a lot of arguing about that. What does it mean to be American? What have we said that it means? And does our talk match our walk? And in what way should we change one or the other so that the two are synced up? And when we get to the end of that analysis, how will we feel about ourselves? Because this is not just about 47 being worried and anxious. This is the nation and you know the our reputation and our own self-understanding. It's been eroded, mice, and that makes everybody anxious. See my neck turning red? I'm anxious. Sorry. All right. So let's go back to the mice. I pulled clarifiers. So we have the house, the clouds, and the dog. Let me say this. One of the things that I've heard has happened this past week is there's been lots of barricades put up around the White House because he's probably scared of, what might happen to him, or you know, what kind of protests will be around there. So they have, buttressed the White House with all kinds of fortification, um, because he just doesn't know what's going to happen. Clouds, worry, um, confusion, um, and this card. Hate to say it because I love the dog. This is a wonderful card. It can be a sibling, a cousin, best friend, but it's also the card for the police. And I mean, I'm just saying, as a Black person, sometimes the police is not your friend. So he will have all of his masked and unmasked, geared up toy soldiers at the ready should things go awry. He's really worried about that. So this is the National Guard, this is police, this is ICE, this is all of the above. Okay, that second card, remember, is crossroads. And again, which way are things going to go on the fourth? Clarifiers are the coffin, the young man, and then birds. I think that while the demonstrations could start off peacefully, they could veer off into something. And I'm not saying that it would be the demonstrators who would precipitate or initiate anything. There could be agitators in the crowd, and there could be um, pseudo law enforcement people there who incite the crowd. But I don't love seeing the coffin there. Again, if you're going to be out there, be careful, be safe, do one of those trainings that they've got online for, how to conduct yourself and what to say and not say and take and not take with you. Um, because I don't care for this. I do think there will probably be agitators. And this is a card for gathering, for talk, chatter. Uh, I would just be careful. Okay, so here we have the actual 4th of July events themselves. We have the ship, we have the bear, and we have the child. So things will move along. Uh, I'm not sure. Sometimes this is the card, of course, for Russia. It's also the card for 47, the narcissist, entertainment purposes only. Um, and then we have this child card. I'm wondering if, the child is something small. I'm wondering if the crowds will be smaller than the organizers are anticipating because people are afraid of somebody's narcissistic overreaction. We have the whip as our fourth card in our original line, and the clarifiers are the anchor, the ring, and the rider. Um, I'm going to say, however large the crowds are or are not, the opposition to him is sustained and committed, and that message will come across. I think the fourth, he thinks the fourth is an auspicious day for him to sign his big bad bill. Well, we should think of the fourth as an auspicious day to once again register our objection to his attempt at being a monarch or a dictator. Fifth card is the moon. And remember, I'm telling you that this is both the reputation in the world that we have and also our own self-understanding. This thing we're trying to grapple with. Who is it that we want to be? The jury is still out. Clarifiers for the 4th of July are the snake, the star, and him again. So I think, don't be surprised if there are not pockets of violence, if there are not a big, huge um, military and police presence out there. Uh, this is the card for the future, but then we've got him. Now I can mirror these two. There is trouble ahead. There's no way to sugarcoat that or deny that. There's trouble ahead. And it is courtesy of him because he wants to seize the soul of the country. And it's not so much that he wants to seize the soul of the country. He's a narcissist and he's his own thing. He is the puppet of people who would like to seize the soul of the country. The puppet for the Leonard Leos of the world, um, the conservatives on the Supreme Court, the Federalist Society, the Heritage Society. So we have trouble ahead, but I will give you one small piece of consolation. I can mirror him with the mice because I think his worry, his fear, his paranoia is only going to increase this summer. Does that make him more dangerous? Well, yes, in the same way that, as I've said before, a cornered rat is more dangerous than a pet rat. A cornered rat will do anything to escape the corner and your broom that you're poking at it with. So he will get uglier, just like a cornered rat, before he is no longer with us. Now, um, I think I will save looking at him and his health for another time, sometime after the 4th. But I do want to tell you that if you, whether you are out there protesting or whether you're minding your business, drinking your water, and helping in other ways, I will be having a guest on the 4th, and I will tell you that it's Dr. Lena. So I think it is a good thing to have someone with an overseas perspective uh, marking the occasion of the 4th with us. So do watch for that. I don't know if I'm going to upload it on the 4th or 5th because we're talking a little bit late in the day, but I may put it up on the 4th. I may put it up on the 4th. So listen, pace yourselves, um, drink your water, and be careful if you're out there. Uh, you know my advice on that, on who should and should not be out there. But at any rate, I'm not going to say celebrate because, however you observe the 4th of July, I hope that it is in a manner that is thoughtful and sober and contemplative of what do we really want to mean when we talk about the creation of a more perfect union. Because the one that we have right now is highly imperfect. Some people would like to make it even more imperfect than it is, but if the majority of us are, believe in the language in that document, what are we willing to do to help forge this more perfect union? Again, just in a micro level, um, don't let yourself get overwhelmed, discouraged, um, and depressed because nobody's got time for that. Get your rest, eat your vegetables, drink your water, and I will do the same. I know that a lot of my sister and brother readers are feeling the angst of the energy of this season, this time, and so some people are sort of taking a step back from commenting on politics, but uh, you know. I told you in the very beginning of the channel I was going to be here for the duration, and I will be. And I hope that you stay with me. So please do like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I always forget to say that. If you are interested in my work, there are links right under the video. This is my book, The Language of Lenormand. It will teach you everything you need to know about how to read the card system that I read. And I have this channel, one, to talk about politics, of course, two, to show you the system, and three, to let you know that everything around you began first with a thought, and that these cards are a way to sort of help us align our thoughts so that they go in the direction that we want the energy to go in. So this is a way for you to tap into your highest self, which to me is the part of you that's God. And cards are just a beautiful way to help you access that higher self. So it's called The Language of Lenormand. It's available wherever books are sold. You can also get the audio version, which is cool. And I have a course that you can take on your own time that will help you learn to walk through the cards. I know a lot of you are learning a lot just by watching the videos, and that delights me. I'm really happy about that because, when you're looking for that 3 a.m. friend that you can call up and say, um, talk to me, uh, the cards can be that for you. So I wish you a good Sunday, a restful Sunday, a peaceful Sunday, and we'll all be back in the ring tomorrow. Take care.